you are, wherever you're watching this from, just let me know what city, state, or country you're watching in. I know we're getting close to the holidays, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think my special guest will be sitting down soon, so hopefully she'll be here soon. But in the meantime, welcome everybody. This is the last live stream of 2021, and actually I only have one more show left on Monday as well, so we'll talk about that. And I'm sure, like many of you, I know I'm not the only one doing last minute Christmas shopping. I'm probably going to be going out tomorrow. But if you're doing last minute Christmas shopping, if you need some couple things, our studio is open until Christmas Eve. So we'll talk about that as well. And also I've got some advice for creatives that we'll be getting into. I shared a little bit on my Instagram in a post, but I'm going to go in a little bit more detail here. Oh, and my special guest, we have a seat waiting for you right here. We're going to introduce her in a moment. But again, let me know where you're watching from so I can shout out your city, state, or country right now. Angie Thomas, hello to you. Patrick Slaughter, watching on YouTube, is in Boise, Idaho. Thanks for watching. We're going to get this started and kicked off soon. I see people logging on Instagram. I see Ada Lopez Porter in El Paso, Texas. Angie on Facebook is in Washington, so welcome to you. And Instagram, where y'all at? Let me know where you're watching from. We're gonna start soon. Oh, all right. Let's ask her, where are you from? Originally? Yeah. Yes, talking to the mic. Can we go to her? Can we flip to her? All right, there we go. There she is.
Hi, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. I'm raised in Queens and moved to Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm an East Coast girl.
East Coast girl, for sure, yes. Very East Coast girl. We'll talk about that. All right, some other comments coming in. So Angie said, my husband wants me to tell you we met you at KISS at the Gorge. So that's cool. I was on tour in August through October with the band KISS as their opener. One of the most beautiful venues I've performed at, and I've performed literally just about every continent around the globe. One of the most beautiful venues was the Gorge in George, Washington. So it sits on the edge of this like canyon, and when we got there, it was pouring rain. Couldn't see it, and as the day opened up and the sun came out, you could see this super clear, beautiful canyon. So very cool. And also, quick shout out to, we have some live audience members hanging out with us tonight. Just, you can say hello to them as well. Show them some love in the chats. And just like you, they may have some questions, so they may pop on, and we'll meet some more of them later. Hopefully, we're gonna get that coffee flowing so that they can ask. They're like, we're gonna need more coffee than that. All right, real quick. Also, Janessa, shout out to you, Sacramento. And who else? We're gonna go to Instagram. Let's go ahead and get into it, and we'll start this live stream. How's it going? Welcome. We're like 1 week away from Christmas. For those of you that celebrate it, we're definitely celebrating it. And I've got a ton of last minute shopping to still do. It's just been a busy month, like probably many of you. So before we get into the one last painting, the last live stream of 2021, I want to know, where are you watching this from? So let me know in the chat. I'm gonna be going to the chat, sharing some of those. And also if you're on Instagram, let me know as well so I can shout you out. Real quick, sending love to bunny.7394 from India. Thanks for watching. And all right, keep checking in. In the meantime, special, beautiful guest. So you were born in New York.
I was born in New York.
And then raised in Miami.
Mostly Miami. I would go back and forth.
Yeah, so you moved here when you were, this is Chadi, by the way, this is my beautiful girlfriend Chadi. But you moved here in your early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest difference between West Coast people and East Coast people?
The culture.
The culture? Like how so? Like what kind of like?
I would just say how to address things.
Oh, I could definitely agree with her. She's like, yeah, I mean, on the East Coast, it's more straight to the point.
Yes.
West Coast, we're like, I need to talk to you. I have something on my mind. I don't know, East Coast people that are watching, East Coast US, would you agree with this? Are East Coast people more to the point? West Coast people, help me out here, please.
I will say,
We're just good at conflict management.
I will
all.
say I love the East Coast, but West Coast people are like so nice.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. But let us know in the chat. If you're an East Coast person, let me know. If you're West Coast, how are we different? All right. Real quick shout out to, of course, my mom. She says, tell Stacy Bettis hi. Stacy Bettis. Let's go say hi. Hi. Hi, Stacy. Stacy and son with you. Yes. Welcome. All right, Mom. Just like you asked, I told her hello. I said hello earlier, but my mom is one of the most active people in this chat. You'll see. Gary Robinson watching from Oregon. So shout out to you. And then also Dawn Rose in Daytona Beach, Florida. And a couple things too. Before we get into the one last painting in this live stream, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that like button and share it. If you're on Instagram, just hit those hearts down on the right now. Share it in the DMs of your friends right now. We're about to get into the first painting. So that's the best way to support these live streams. I love doing these and connecting with you, but if you want to know how do we support it, keep it going, it's really just sharing and subscribing, and that's the biggest help. So let's see. Someone said, can you do a painting with my music playing in the background? Yeah, if you have music that you want me to use, because we can only use licensed music. That's why we have this particular music playing. So if you're a musician, you make beats, please send them my way. You can send me a text, 916-866-8101. It's there on the screen. So if you text me a link to your beats, like a Dropbox link, just send it there, and I would love to check them out. Or if you know someone who's a musician, and then also please send your info so that we can tag you when we're playing it. That would be awesome. I would love to do a live stream with like just someone who follows me, some of their beats. So that was, who said that? Ivan Ruiz _art. Let me know. We'd love to share. All right. Oh, he said, heck yeah, bro. Yes, please. All right. Any last thoughts before we get into the painting?
What is the theme for tonight that you're going to be painting?
Ooh. So the theme for tonight. So earlier, I did 2 paintings. They're both classic paintings that I've done quite a bit, but I did them different in a different color scheme. I'm going to continue that color scheme with this. It's another classic portrait, but it's also a little bit of the out of mind style. So if you're not familiar with that, half the portrait will be like symbols of who they are, something to lend to the portrait, and then the other half will be a colorful portrait. So nice. Take our time, yeah. All right, and again, don't forget, use the chat, ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them and share the process. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go. Drummer. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're gonna start this live stream right now. I've got one painting. We're gonna end the new year with a classic portrait painted in a new colorful way with a little bit of the Out of Mind series. If you've been following me, you may know what that is, or you'll learn about it today, but use the chat down below. And as always, the best way to support these live streams is to share this. If you're watching on Instagram, share in a DM, hit the hearts. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and hit the like button. And if you're on Facebook, just share it on your page. It's the best way. And let's get into it. Let's go. Actually, you know, I'm gonna start a little different today. I've got these spray cans. Let's start with this. Let's paint. Shake it up a little bit. We're just gonna mist on just a little bit. I apologize to you guys if the spray paint gets a little strong, but we're just gonna mist this on We're gonna start with this one, with the cyan blue, and then we're gonna move to the magenta. People ask me, what is my favorite color? I love black, but my second favorite color is this magenta. There's something about it. There's like a UV property to this. So when you have a black light or some sort of blue light, it glows. And I love that about it. So we're just gonna spray a little bit of this on first, and then we're gonna let that dry before we come back to this. This will be a fun process tonight. All right, so we'll leave that there. Let's head over to the brushes right now. All right. All right, let's paint. So I'm always trying to keep my brush strokes very loose. And it has to do with a lot of different factors. The most important one is just holding further back on my brush so that I'm using the motion of my body rather than holding up close and using the motion or the restriction of just my wrist. And then while I'm moving the brush, it's not just about moving it back and forth. You still want to rotate the brush. So you should almost think about it like you're carving into the surface. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm starting with this dark blue cool color as my undertone. So no matter what colors I add on top of this, these cool colors will still shine through in some way or another. Just kind of slap the brushes on the surface. All right, so those of you watching at home, wherever you are, maybe you're in your car or taking a break from work, Christmas is 1 week away, the holidays are among us. What do you have planned for the holidays? Are you staying home? Are you staying in? Will you be with family? Let me know in the chat. And also, if you're a last minute shopper like me, just put a party emoji. Just put a party emoji in, because I know it's gonna be a party for us the next few days, handful of days, getting ready. So this is our second live stream today. We did another one at noon earlier, and they were worried because last night we had a little birthday party in here. So my family and friends were like, "Are you gonna be okay to paint?" I didn't want to tell them that, like, on the road when we're doing 100+ shows a year, that we have some fun nights before we have to catch a 6 a.m. flight. So we're a little used to it. But we had a good time last night. Thank you, by the way, for the amazing party. Yeah. What's that? It was what? You guys talk in the mic so they can hear you.
I was saying yes. Finish the sentence. Like.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I hosted a birthday party for him last night.
So
it was fun. It was our closest friends, so it wasn't a big party.
Yeah.
We had food from Basha,
yes,
which is a local restaurant
it's like a Mediterranean
Fulton.
food.
Yeah, so good.
Amazing.
And then I had cakes, fancy cakes that you'll see him post. Cakes. So I got him an incredible pink cake. It looked like a pink can with a brush, and you'll see it on his stories. I'll make sure he posts it.
I did. I posted it. Pastry Heaven. Thank you.
Yeah, they're amazing. And so.
Yes, you know them. Yes.
Yeah.
I
they
love
did
the
an
cakes.
incredible cake for him, and then it's like a joke. Well, his birthday was a couple months ago, his 40th, and we thought it was going to be his 40th, but I was wrong.
That's another story we'll share later.
Story. So we got him a cake because his first day in job was managing this huge Chick-fil-A. So we got him a Chick-fil-A cake, and then I got on a cake where my brother-in-law, my sister's husband's birthday was on Tuesday, so I got him a cake too, with antlers on it because he likes hunting.
Yeah.
And then I have a twin brother, and it's not his birthday, but I wanted to mess with him, and I got him a cake too, just for no reason.
But all these cakes had like some incredible themes. So no, really, thank you, Pastry Heaven, because she has a running joke with her brother, this banana thing, and it was like a banana on the cake. We all had a good laugh. But that was very thoughtful of her to think about that.
Yeah. So we
Thank you.
celebrated everybody's birthday, even when it wasn't their birthday.
There we go.
My brother hates the spotlight, so the fact that we had him a cake and he was holding it, he was so uncomfortable, and it made me happy.
Yes, yes. All right, so we survived the birthday celebration.
Yeah.
We'll get back to this. So artists out there, as you're putting your undertone, as you're painting, no matter what you're using, don't forget about texture. You know, I'm letting the brush do most of the heavy lifting on this, and I'm not pressing too hard. I'm giving it the direction and I'm twisting it, but I'm letting the brush create the texture on the surface. So don't forget about that. It's as important as color and value, all those cool things that create the portraits. Because even now, those brush strokes, it feels random, but everything will hopefully come together. That's the goal, at least. That's what I'm telling myself when I'm on stage, painting in front of people. Hopefully this works out. All right. We'll just keep stepping up the colors on this. We're starting with the cool, and then this purple is a transition as we transition into warm from here. Well, I'm gonna leave this open for now because we're gonna do something over there in a little bit. And the paint I'm using right now is just latex house paint. It's bare, ultra premium paint. It's from Home Depot. There's nothing crazy about it. It's really about what you can do with the tools that you have. I was fortunate enough to travel to Cuba a couple times, and during those trips, I met artists, and I would just kind of casually say, you know, in regards to supplies, like, why don't you just go down to your local art supply? And they're like, we don't have those. Those don't really exist here because they're so limited because of the embargo and a bunch of other issues. And so looking at their artwork to see how limited they are on the supplies that they have, and even with those supplies, there's not many of them, and they're still producing incredible work. And so really it comes down to how creative can you be not only with your subject matter, but also with what you have. You don't need a lot to create on these canvases or on paper. There's an artist that I just started following on Instagram, and he goes like dumpster diving and gets old cardboard, like Amazon boxes that you throw away, and he turns them into some incredible art. I just thought it was super creative and something to just keep in mind as you think that you may have limitations in materials. It just comes down to that creativity. All right, keep this. All right, so someone just asked online, the online chat, what's been my favorite piece so far? To be honest, I think the Frida that I did earlier, we were talking about in the car, and Chadi was like, do not sell that. That is going in our dining room. But no, it's just, I think it's my favorite pieces like that one. It's because took a risk on it. I didn't know how it was gonna pan out, and it ended up being kind of cool. So my favorite pieces are the ones that there's some risk taking involved, feeling accomplished when you finally get through it. Not all of them turn out good. But so far, we'll just say the Frida that I did on the live stream earlier today was my favorite. All right, we're just building this up little by little. Let's do rub the color out of these on the carpet, and then we'll go to the next warm color. So we built up from blues, purple, pink, red. We're gonna transition into this gold color. Now from far away, your brain just starts to put together the value without really knowing, or even breaking down what the colors are. You just start seeing the likeness and the shapes come to life. It's sort of like art magic, this style of painting. Just little by little, just build it up. The great thing about paint is when you make a mistake, not if, when you make a mistake, let it dry, paint over it. The mistakes never end. Bob Ross, the infamous happy little mistakes. Sometimes they're major. We just let the paint dry. Just paint over it. Get some of that excess paint off. So now I'm just thinking about it as in, imagine the light source coming from this side, shining down. Anything that's closest to the light on any part of his face is gonna be warmer, and the objects or the parts of his face that are further from the light will be cooler, and that's just how I'm deciding what color to use and where. So imagine a face as like a mountain range. You know, when light hits it from this direction, and I'm gonna choose my colors based on that. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of skin tone here before we break into full on. Can't wait for you to see these up close too.
I have a question.
Oh yes, please.
Okay.
Ask away.
So last time I asked you what was the most embarrassing thing that an audience member has ever done. What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done while performing?
Yes, okay, great question. Just to recap, the most embarrassing thing an audience member did was the very first show on the last tour of KISS, this person decided to hop on stage with a beer because he thought I needed one, and I didn't need one, but security roughly got him off stage. But the most embarrassing thing that happened to me, was that the question? That I've done. I will just say this, on numerous events, whether you caught it or not, I've split my pants many times. Matter of fact, we just shot a series of music videos that should be coming out in the next week or so, and the biggest one that we did, I did the whole thing with like split pants. So I don't know if they caught it on camera or not, but when you see it, I'm trying to think.
You can't see it because you're always wearing black.
I know, thank God.
But you've slipped quite a few times.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
He's done some cool dance moves.
Yeah, I've fallen quite a bit during performances. I've fallen quite a bit on stage. And that's probably the most, I would say, embarrassing per se. Early on, when I just wasn't good at painting, when I was just trying to learn how to get better, the most embarrassing thing is the painting not looking good at all. Or not looking like who it's supposed to. Even that happens time to time. Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna transition to some white, add a little bit of that yellow warmth to it. So not completely white yet, not completely yellow. I love using this wall as a palette. Let's just keep building up. Again, we're just using the brush, rotating it as we're creating movement, leaving behind some of the negative space, like the wrinkles. So keeping that in mind, we could easily just fill up this space full of paint, but we're gonna leave behind a lot of these shadows that will help with the likeness of this portrait. I'm sure you guys can see. Can you guys guess who it is? All right, yeah. We can pick up on who it is. Let's go back to this light yellow. Ooh, is there any band I would what? I can do a tour with. Absolutely. I think Imagine Dragons would actually be really cool to do something with, especially because their brand and their style looks like things I would paint of their like album covers. I mean, The Weeknd is like all-time artist person I would love to do something with, to tour with. Man, there's so many. Obviously, Jay-Z, Beyonce. You gotta put these things out in the universe. You never know. Who else do I talk about that I would go on tour or want to go on tour with?
The Weeknd.
Yeah, definitely The Weeknd.
Oh, you said The Weeknd already?
Yeah.
I mean, how cool would it be Elton John?
Oh yeah.
He
Elton
loves
John?
Elton John.
Call me.
Yeah.
Let me know. I know
That's
you're
like-
watching this.
Your favorite song is from Elton John.
Oh, yes. My favorite all-time song is Rocket Man. So it's just, you know, being a performer, being, you know, someone who's been on the road for almost 20 years now, that song is just very relatable in many different ways. But yeah, Elton John for sure. All right, let's keep going. Okay, let's go back to that wall.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who is the most influential person that you have ever, that made you do what you do today?
That's a great question. So the most influential person, I would say, probably my high school animation teacher when it comes to influence.
Sean is amazing.
Sean Sullivan, you know, taught and still teaches at Sheldon High School. He's at a different level now of teaching, and we have a nonprofit together that we started. But as for influence, he was here last night. You know, he's like family. And I'll share a quick story. When I was on America's Got Talent, so that was maybe 8-9 years after I got out of high school. Actually, no, it was 2012. I got out in 2001, so it was 11 years. He was still coming to my studio giving me ideas about how to do the plexiglass painting, how to do the 16-foot tall Statue of Liberty. And even in those moments, and even now, he had an idea last night he shared where he's still like influencing these ideas. And yeah, he just has always been and continues to be an influential force in my
I
life.
still have, you painted my son's rabbits in high school
Oh,
when I
okay.
was in the office. And I still have that.
Yes,
And yeah,
that's awesome.
long time ago.
You'll have to send me a picture of that.
I will.
Okay, all right. That's awesome. What a small world. All right, let's get back to this painting. I love those questions, by the way, because there are things that I share that I haven't really either been asked or I haven't thought about to share as well. Before we wrap up later on, I do have some more advice for artists. I shared about it on my Instagram. Just three major things that every new artist should do, and I'm going to go into detail about those before we sign off later. So something very important that I want artists to know, getting into your world, creating your own art world, what that means. So just a few tips. All right, we're going to leave this here now. Before we get into more detail, we're going to head back here. Let's go back to this spray paint real quick. Just going to add a little bit more. So now that I have some shape here of the hair, I'm just going to, I want to play with this light source, and I want it to bounce off of parts of his wrinkles on his face so that we feel like the illusion that this light source is real, that it's actually bouncing off. So just like we thought about the light source up top, everything close to it is going to be warmer colors and away from it is cooler. Here it's more basic. Anything closest to the cyan spray paint will be cyan. Just kind of rub that in. All right, and then we're going to switch to the magenta. So now that this is coming from here,
I
get
think I
under.
might want us to keep this one too.
What was that? What was that? You gotta.
I said I think I might want us to keep this one too.
Oh, I see. Yes.
That's
sorry,
the
guys.
problem. He continues to like outdo himself with his artwork. So
She's so-
like I just
she's
have
so
to switch out
encouraging.
the paintings in the house.
Yeah, if you're wondering where some of these end up, they're
Yeah.
in our house. All right, let's go here. By the way, a painting never feels completely done. Even if I do it on stage and it's done in minutes to music and slap my hand on it and I walk away, I still feel like there's something to do. Most of the time I don't, because that was just a moment in time and we've got to just leave it and move on to the next. But everything always feels like there's more to do. Let's ditch those. We're gonna let most of this dry because I want to add some more on top of that, but we're gonna start on this left side. Now, that high school animation teacher who is still influential to me got me into really more into illustration, figure drawing. And so with this out of mind style that I started in early 2021, it was doing the classic portraits that I do, but imagine opening them up, people like Einstein, and just seeing what's going on in their head. And we did a series of maybe 20 something different paintings like this. So I'm just gonna add some things here. We're just gonna start the process, but it'll all make sense as we go. And again, keep those questions coming if you have any.
I have a question.
What's that? Oh yeah, I mean, all music that I listen to when I'm painting, whether I'm painting or doing anything in the house, if I'm sitting writing, I just have music on constantly. So music is always a force in my life. You were gonna ask something?
Yeah, you mentioned that you never feel like a painting is never done.
Yeah.
And I also would say that I think that that's more of a personality thing, because there are artists that I know and I follow, and I would probably say they would say something different because they would, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think that that's something because, like right now you have this new series of Out of Mind collection, which is a lot different than your other portraits?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the freedom that I get with the Out of Mind series, like being able to do this, I could never do this at a live show. So I have the freedom to really spend the time, and the more time I spend, the more ideas that I get. And then it's this constant battle of, you know, answering the creative call in your mind. So I think a lot of us, especially at a young age, we get this creative call and we answer it as much as we can until we get responsibilities. And we get these creative calls where we're like, I want to do that, but I have to be on time for this. And if I work on this idea, I may not be there. There's other examples of this, but I just sort of never grew up. I'm like this big kid that always answered these creative calls, but it turned into this. So what's happening now, the best way I can explain it is, before everyone came in here, before we went live, I started getting a creative call about this vision of like what it kind of felt like. And then the more that I do this, the more that I create on this canvas, I just keep getting more ideas about what this could end up being. So yeah, just, you know, it starts with this style that lends the freedom, and the more I paint, I let the creativity kind of guide the process.
Would you ever go back to an old painting and modify it?
Oh, I've definitely done that, for sure. The beauty with technology is we can do that with Procreate now, so we can get a high-res scan of a painting, and you know, we can master it basically, just how they do music. A band will go into a studio, they'll lay down the tracks, but also a producer will help master those tracks as well. Kind of bump up some colors, add a few lines that I didn't do or couldn't remember when I was creating it. All right, so that's good right there. We'll leave that there, just keeping it rough. Let's add a planet right here. Let's add another little planet right here. So we're gonna mix between some spaces. Do I watch anime? I don't. I can't say that I do, but I do appreciate anime. I used to watch more when I was younger in animation. But no, I mean, I do reference anime so when I'm thinking about new ideas that I want to paint, especially when we did this latest series of videos that will be coming out soon, I referenced a lot of anime for those music videos. So I'm just gonna draw. I'm feeling like the cross between the fish and the space. I like the juxtaposition of that. So we're gonna add some of these. Again, I'm just trying to keep this moving, but I could seriously sit here all day and just add all these different ideas to this. There's some paintings in the hallway here at my studio of things that I did spend, a lot more time on. And that's the cool thing about having the space is we get to share and display a lot of these paintings that I do get to take my time working on. There's also some classic ones from way early on in my career. I mean, from like early 2000s. We're gonna let that dry, by the way. We'll get back to it. Early 2000s, when I was doing a lot of urban jazz style paintings, a lot more figurative art. We've got a lot of those originals here as well. All right, so we're gonna go back to the spray paint. I love the spray paint because it's opaque, so when I wanna add highlights, it just makes it pop. So these highlights that are in the whites, just turn that sideways. Just get a little dab there. I'm gonna muddle
David,
that up.
I have a question for you.
Oh yes, please ask away.
At what point in your life did you intuitively know that this is what I'm doing, I'm not looking back, and I'm just all in? At what point in your life did you know that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say at 20 years old, it was partly because I was out of luck. I had lost my job, my car was repossessed. I was going through a really, really rough time. I didn't graduate high school either. So I was dealing with that sort of, not making my parents proud. And so, between 18 and 20, I was just hustling. I was like, what am I gonna do? And then finally, when I started painting live, and the first night I did, I was at the Fox and Goose. I did this live painting. It wasn't even a performance. I just knew then, as soon as I finished that painting, I don't know what this is gonna turn into. It was a smaller painting, maybe the quarter of the size. I took 3 times as long. I just knew there's something about this that's gonna change everything. And so as soon as I decided that in that moment, I really didn't have the answer until maybe months later, coming across the work of Denny Dent, who started performance painting. But just seeing the world now through that lens helped. And so, I think if I were to give advice to anyone, just being aware of making connections between your passion and also how that makes you feel, and seeing, is this a path I need to go down? Is this worth failing at or succeeding at? And it was live painting that moment made me decide I'm gonna see the world in a new way. And then months later, I came across Denny Dent and I was ready. I was ready for it, and that was life-changing. And I still have moments now, like when we started Crater X with my high school animation teacher. Even that moment was like, oh, I want to help other artists, and that was also another life-changing moment. So there's been a lot of different ones. All right, so let's hit these shapes with just a little bit of the light source that's coming from above. We're gonna hit it with the cyan from the top before we move on to some other steps. And this just gives these shapes some life, kind of makes us believe more that there's a light there, makes us believe that there's objects there. We're gonna hit this little planet. Oh, maybe these are sharks, maybe they're fish, I don't know yet.
They look like sharks.
They're like sharks? All right, is that what you see? What are those ink blot tests? What are those called? You see a shark, I see like a koi fish because I'm peaceful. and you're East Coast, so you see a shark. A Rorschach test, there we go. And then even with this, I get to be very loose with the brush doing this. This is not as exciting as a performance, but I still feel like it's a process of achieving a vision. So I stick to it. Motivates me.
Can you share with the audience how you found Denny Dent?
Oh yes, great question. So Denny Dent was what I would consider, let me find oh, there we go. So Denny Dent was what I consider one of the first performance painters. Now performance painting, and defining it between the difference of live painting, is performance painting was about engaging and entertaining an audience. So preparing like an entertainer, you would rehearse, you make sure you present it well in that live experience. But I was painting live at one of those nightclubs and jazz clubs thinking, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. a friend of mine, this guy named Kevin Costa, came up to me that night. I didn't know him at the time, but he said, "Have you heard of Denny Dent? He's like, does like what you do, but he's a lot crazier and jumps around." And I honestly thought he was crazy for telling me this. I'm like, I've never heard of Denny Dent. I don't know what that is. And I kind of honestly brushed him off. And he said, "Well, I do websites. If you don't have a website, I can help you with that." Gives me his card. We meet up a week later. I go to his house to work on the website. I walk in and I see a painting by Denny Dent, and I ask him, "Is that the guy?" He's like, "That's the guy." And that was another moment. We're like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. And it was a mixture of everything I love, which was music, art, dance, and then it was performance. And it wasn't really about necessarily the perfection of the painting. It was about the energy that was into it that I was attracted to. So thanks to Kevin Costa for introducing me to Denny Dent, but also introducing me to my love as well. Many, like 18 plus years ago. That's when we first became homies. Yeah, last night we were telling Kevin at the party, I was like, "Man, you took me to New York to get my first publishing deal, introduced me to the work of Denny Dent, introduced me to Chotty." I was like, "What else you got for me? What's next?"
He's like your fairy godmother.
I know, but like a 50-year-old bachelor version
Yeah.
of it, yeah. All right, so we're just adding these highlights still. Just, again, the light source coming from the bottom. And these simple lines. It's like an illusion. It just helps us believe. It helps the viewer believe, and your eyes trick you into thinking that, I think something's actually there. I can believe in this. Growing up, one of my favorite movies was Fantasia 2000. And it was a mixture of color, sound, and storytelling. And the more I paint throughout the years, the more I try to embody that, embody the Fantasia vibe. So, all right, let's add some pieces. So we're gonna start bringing this together now. We're gonna start adding some pieces to this side, to that side, and within the next 5 minutes or so, it'll start to come together. Just gonna add some shapes. But thank you all for the questions. I appreciate those. I'm gonna staple this canvas down just a little bit more, because when you start to put the paint on the canvas, it's a liquid and it starts to contract. So we do this when we stretch canvases. They're usually sort of wrinkled. We put water on the back and it tightens up like a drum. So this is starting to do that because of the paint. So I'm gonna pull this down and just tack it down a little bit more, because it seems like the paint is just pulling this thing off the wall. I think this is the first time I've ever done live performance stapling. So you guys are witnessing history right now. There we go. Also, this canvas is just a regular old cotton gesso black canvas. There's nothing special about it. It's just black gesso on a cotton canvas. All right, there we go. Now, let's add some life to the eyes. We're gonna start with the gray before we get into some lighter highlights. Einstein has a mixture of like this, sometimes it feels sad, but also it feels intense. And I feel like my best Einstein portraits are finding a mix between those two things. Let's go to this blue. It's a mixture between sadness and fierceness. We got that purple. We're just gonna add a little purple to the area where his eyes are. All right, let's start throwing some paint. I'm gonna go to the water so that the paint flies a little bit more. sometimes when you throw paint, it gets globby and it starts to actually make different shapes on the canvas. If you wanted to just get a real true splatter, use the paint, use some water, it'll fly. Let's go to the blue. We're gonna throw some. And then let's hit it with just some finger marks. The technical term finger painting comes into play. All right, and I'm gonna go back to my brushes real quick so we can really start to define, just so we know that there's some of the side of his head is over there. Just gonna give a little bit of indication. Grab some brushes, and let's go with this blue over here. So we're gonna define his shoulder. And I'm gonna let this brush do a lot of the texture talking. So I'll probably hit that too with some cyan. I'm gonna hit it with some texture down here. He's also got this really cool scholastic scholar, because smart people wear scholars apparently. I definitely don't. I wear black t-shirts. I'm far from a collar. Imagine that this is sort of like, these shapes are sort of weaving in and out of the texture of his hair over here, side of his face. And another cool way to kind of bring this all together is that same light source coming from the bottom. We'll hit all these little things that I just added right now. Rub that in. So it may not be as apparent right now, but I'm just adding colors that would hopefully play a trick on the eye to make it believe that there's more depth than there actually is. So artists, you have to become more observant about the life around you. Some of my favorite artists are the most observant. So if you look at people like Norman Rockwell, who captured a lot of figures and sort of early American life and narrative, his observation of light, shadow, figure, even expression, is from real life. And it's because he was observant and then also translated that into the painting using his skill set. So even this little glob right here, we're gonna put these little details. It's an illusion of, actually, let's do this. Let's take it a step further. We got these thin, I'm always losing paint cans. All right. Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. So, backstory. I got one of the most amazing birthday gifts from Chadi. And this is how you know I'm enjoying getting older, is I got a pillow. Not just any pillow. I got two of these pillows. And they're hotel pillows. So I travel a lot. I sleep really well in hotels. And she got me two of the most amazing pillows. I've been sleeping the best since Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I woke up every day like, oh, that was the best night's sleep. And I just go on with my day. So I'll say it's the pillows, or I was just tired and I needed sleep.
It's the pillows, for sure.
It was the pillows, yeah, for sure. Great question. Man, someone's been watching these live streams.
Yeah.
All right, let me just do one more of the magenta before we start to wrap this up. Are you guys good out there? Yeah. The spray paint's not bothering you at all? All right. All right, let's go with this magenta real quick. Again, let's just hit those little tiny, even if it's a finger mark that I just added, just to give the illusion that there's a shape there, something's floating, even way up here. Somehow the light traveled all the way up. We're gonna bring that light source down a little bit more. Normally, when I'm using spray paint in the studio and no one's here, it doesn't bother me. But then when friends walk in, they're like, "Bro, how do you survive this smell?" So now that we've had people in here, I'm just a little more conscious of this. All right. I feel like there's one more thing. This is the part where I start to decide, are we near the end or is it not done? But we're gonna do some more throws. I think we're near the end. Let's do that. All right, let's do some more throws and we'll be done. This is the last live stream painting of 2021. Had to go with a classic Einstein portrait with a little twist. I'm gonna add this rim of warmth because the light is hitting it from over here, just so it stands out. And then don't go anywhere when this is done. We're gonna have a quick chat. I wanna shout you, your city out, see what your holiday plans are. Maybe there's a little light leaking back here. All right, there we go. Let's end this off with one last favorite part. Handprint. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this. That handprint, by the way, inspired by Denny Den. I shared about him. That's how he always ended the paintings. He passed away in 2005. I never got to meet him, but he and his life just had an impact on me that, you know, just seeing one of his paintings changed my life. I just hope someday I could do the same for another artist out there, whether it's now or decades from now. But take one last look at this Einstein painting. We're gonna chat a little bit. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, like it. That's the best way to support these live streams. If you're on Facebook, hit the share button. Or if you're on Instagram, just hit the hearts on the bottom. Send this to someone's DM. Take one last look. We'll chat. Detail. This was a blank canvas when we started, and now it's a spacey Einstein out of mind with that new color scheme we came up with earlier today on the live stream. I can't wait till next year. I have a bunch of ideas I want to get out and share, but I guess you could say this is a peek into 2022 and where we're going next. All right, let's chat. I just want to do some shout outs real quick. I know the chats have been lighting up. They've been sharing some questions with me, but I just want to see if any more popped up. All right, so someone asked, will I be doing any more paintings, the out of mind paintings in 2022? And definitely more versions of those. I think this style will always be an evolution. You know, I started my career doing these urban jazz, music related, and then I got into the music-related pop portraits. That evolved into sort of just pop culture. And then when I had time, in 2020, when things shut down, I just had a break, like a mental creative break, and I can finally get some new ideas out. So I'm excited to share more in 2022. We've got some really cool projects, definitely on the NFT end. And also have some advice right now for some artists. I want to go into some detail, but how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I was kind of reminiscing on when we were doing these lives when the world shut down in 2020, and I was in this videographer's position where I was holding all the cameras myself, but I didn't have the fancy tech. I was actually holding it, like.
I think we got the backpack on her last day. Like,
yeah.
I said, baby, I got you covered. I want to keep you in here helping out. I got something special for you. It came in, and she started working more, and
yeah,
that was it. That was the gift for you.
But it is, you have to have
you guys
muscles.
can't
to
see
do
it right
that.
now, but I'll share a picture of Jeremy wearing the backpack on my story. We'll tag him in it. So. Yeah, you were like sore after these live streams. And I was like, get it together.
Well, he had like three different outlets, and I was holding 3 phones, and it was heavy.
We were being creative.
We
with
were
what
hustling.
We were hustling.
And I got a
All
lot
right.
of paint on me.
A lot of paint.
I got a lot of
Yeah.
paint on my feet.
Yeah. Let me check in. So I'm going to check in real quick with Instagram. But before we do that, on my Instagram page, I shared top three things that any new artist should do. And the very first one was attract your tribe. And there were some questions on there about what that actually meant. So what I meant was whatever you're passionate about outside of art. If you're into horses, if you grew up riding horses, if you're into music like myself, if you're into anime, maybe specifically an anime series that another community may be into, whatever that is, try to narrow that down and express that passion. And what ends up happening, and I'm just saying this from experience, is you're gonna start to attract like-minded people. They're not gonna be artists, but you're the artist expressing that love for that community through your art. And those are going to be your first collectors. Those are going to be your first, your tribe mates. And sometimes, our first collectors, we think that you have to go to a gallery and they're going to sell it for us. You are going to sell your first pieces of art to the people that are closest with you, and mostly the people who share similar passions. So start by creating what you're passionate about outside of art. I think the next part was, do you have my Instagram up? Let's see. Let me pull it up real quick because I don't want to skip a step because I know what the last one is. All right, the second one is document and share. Early on, even when I was on MySpace, I always thought it was important to share the journey, even when there wasn't a lot going on. To be honest, I was just painting live at local places, but little by little, think about it, brushstroke by brushstroke, sharing that journey, and now knowing people who have followed my career, they've been the most supportive because they also understand where I came from. So, the confidence will come from sharing your journey, documenting it, and even if you don't share everything, save it for the archives for later on. And then the last part is really probably one of the most important parts that I dove into the past year. Never stop learning. We talk about how we started these live streams with an iPhone on a gimbal, but at the same time I was researching how do you live stream with a DSLR camera? How do you hook up a live stream? How do you do this on Instagram and Facebook, how you're watching it now, or on YouTube? And so I'm an artist. I would love to just paint, but I know there's more to learn so I can get my message out to the world. And I just encourage all of you that those three things, attracting your tribe by creating what you're passionate about, documenting and sharing, but also never stop learning, even the skill sets outside of your art, and those top three things. And also, if you want me to go deeper into that, just send me a DM. I'm happy to share. You can text me. We'll put the number on the screen, 916-866-8101. Again, it's right there on the screen. So send me a text if you're like, hey, can you describe a little bit more? And I'll do my best. 916-866-8101. One last housekeeping thing. Our studio is open until Christmas Eve. So we're open again tomorrow, Sunday, noon to 7. And then we're going to be open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So all that info, there's a link in my bio. We're here at 500 Broadway in Sacramento, California. But all the info is in my social. Did you guys enjoy this experience? Thank you again to our live audience, just hanging out. It's just it feels like some friends, like just painting, talking to some friends. My best friend.
My best friend over here too.
You ready to eat?
I'm always ready to eat. That's the problem. That's why I work out a lot.
She's ready. I gotta go feed her. All right. Thank you to everyone who watched these live streams and watched the evolution of all this throughout 2021. This is my last one for the year. I can't wait to just enjoy some time with my family, but also get refreshed for what we have planned for 2022. I can't wait to share more. And just thank you. Be safe in the holidays. I'm Dave Garibaldi. Peace. Take a look at Einstein one last time.